through various reasons, and Dad was putting $1 million of his own money into racing, and he'd rather put $1 million into orphans and preacher boys in India to do some various ministries that he'd worked for many years. And so got out of racing, and a lot of people know Dad had a stroke in 2004, in August of 2004, and just recently passed away in August of 2009. So it's hard to believe he's been gone for almost 5 months now. So actually, it's 5 months tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow. So we really are doing things to just honor Dad. We got back into racing in 2005 with Panther Racing and had 5th place finish with Buddy Lazier. But we did it with the idea that we wanted to honor thy father and thy mother. This is the kind of the thing that got in my brain. And so what we're wanting to do, what we did with that then was we worked with American Heart Association. We had a stroke awareness campaign. May just happened to be National Stroke Awareness Month, which was really cool to realize. And so what we're looking at, what we did that year, another guy came up to me and said, "Hey, can you work with the stroke with Habitat for Humanity?" I'm like, man, we've already got all these other things we're doing, and add another thing to it. But I got this idea. I picked, kind of just laid on my heart, and nothing that I have, any of these ideas that I put forth. None of this is my idea. I definitely think it's Providence that put these ideas in my head. So what I'm looking at doing, and it was like, why don't you build these houses for stroke patients and their families? And I thought that was a crazy idea. And we worked through 2005 and 2006 to early 2006 to make that come into reality. But just the timing wasn't right back then, and I had gotten the Heart Association, American Heart Association nationally on board on the project, and the Speedway and Indy Racing League. I liked the idea a lot, but the Habitat kind of got busy. Some hurricane came through New Orleans a few years ago, and they got a little busy, so my project kind of went by the wayside. So after about 2006, the idea just kind of was fizzled out and just went dormant. And even trying to do an effort for the 2009 Indy 500, never even thought of this idea. And then Stacie and I met up, and we got reacquainted from Facebook, and it's amazing what just little things happen here and there. But Stacie used to sell advertising for a little community newspaper, and I bought some advertising for the cafeteria for that in Greenwood. And we have one Facebook friend in common, and we just got reacquainted that way. And I was looking through her profile on her Facebook page and talked about her being in IndyCar marketing, NASCAR marketing, getting sponsors for different. I'm like, oh well, we really have to talk.
Ding, 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 ding.
So
that was amazing.
So, and then she talked to me about the Built2Win project, how Darren's idea of raffling off this house and selling enough tickets so that it definitely covers his costs, but also there's $1 million plus for different 9, 10, 12 different charities out there. And it's like, wait a second, I kind of had the same idea a few years ago with IndyCar. And I told her about my project, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's, it's right up my alley. That's what she said. And so we're really very, these projects kind of very similar to what we're trying to do. I mean, we want to do something that's more than just building a house, and more than just IndyCar racing. Something that just really is very much what our life's philosophies are. So my dad, throughout his life, he had talked about bearing others' burdens. That was a big life philosophy of his. There's a verse that said, "Bear others' burdens," and so I'd always heard that 300, 400 times throughout my life. Dad would preach on it to this or that or whoever it was, and so it always kind of left an impression in my life. And there's really no earthly reason for me to be in racing. I've always wanted to be in racing. I've always loved racing, but there has to be a bigger purpose to it. There's, like I said, there's no regular reason for us to be in racing. So the whole idea and my vision is pretty big, and it's going to take a few years to probably come to total fruition. But the whole big idea is in racing, you need to develop your sponsors, and you need to deliver exposure for your sponsors. You have to come up with some great giant idea that will just create that exposure and just deliver the type of exposure and the return on investment that sponsors need to be able to justify them spending $2, $3, $4, $5 million for an IndyCar series, for racing and whatever series it is. And so my big idea is, one of the best ways to do that is television. But the IndyCar series on its own merit and on its own television ratings that aren't worth it. But so if we're going to bear others' burdens, if that's really go racing with a purpose, and bear others' burdens and kind of marry those two things together, we've come up with the idea that we want to go out and every series, every season, and every city that we travel to, every community that we go to, that there will be a house build that we do, that Evry Man Victory, and that's the name of our organization, will build. And why do we want to build a house? Well, we want to build a house kind of in the vein of Extreme Makeover Home Edition, but it's different because we want to partner with Habitat for Humanity or some other, Fuller Center for Housing or some other like-minded house building organization that really gives people a hand up and not a hand out. And we want to work with those organizations to build a house or housing or different houses. I mean, it could be, we could do 5 houses in a week, but each race week, the week of the race, the few days that lead up to the race, we will build a house. And we will raise hundreds of thousands of dollars each one of those race weekends, and we'll film it for a reality television show. That for all our sponsors to be a part of and everything like that. And then it'll transition from our house built to our racing activities every weekend at the racetrack. And so, the interesting thing is, because the Habitat or Fuller Center, the family has to help build their own house. And so I think there's a dramatic angle there that, is just different. It's unique, and, actually having to be a part of their house build instead of being shipped off to Disney World for a week and come back and, hell, you got a house, yippee skippy. It's a little different. You got that dramatic, angle of the family as they build their house, the realization of their dreams coming to reality. And so, because it's a racing kind of tie-in show, I think all the house building volunteers that we're going to get, and I can envision 400 to 500, maybe more people volunteering to be a part of this house build. And we're going to give them incentives to do this. What are the incentives? Well, if you help raise $500, which isn't a lot of money, you go out to your friends and family and your barber and your friends and just go out and whoever it is, you go out and ask for, I'm gonna go build a house for his family. We're gonna build it in 3 days. I think I said that yet. 3 days. We're gonna build it in 3 days.
Amazing.
72
3
hours
days.
to build a house, and I'm gonna spend 20 hours there. We sponsor me $1 an hour, $20, and collect those donations. Because if I can raise that $500, then I'll be on the side of the IndyCar. That's the plan, is to have all our volunteers actually, their name being on, if they raise $500 or more, they'll be on the IndyCar, and there'll be incentives for them to go out and raise more money. Like whoever the top few builders are, we're going to give them extra things, whether it's a ride in the 2-seater at the racetrack, where they actually get to be in the IndyCar and take laps, or pace car rides. But we'll have a big party, and the people will be there, and the family will be there, and we'll just have a great week. So they'll get tickets to the race, they'll get T-shirts, but they'll also get a shirt that they build in would be the replica crew shirt, like what mechanics wear at the racetrack. They'll wear that.
Absolutely.
Why? Well, they've got all the logos all up and down them, and as they're building the house, and as the cameras are recording their actions and stuff like that in the house build, they're going to have all our sponsor logos on the house, on their shirts while they build, creating more exposure for our sponsors. And if we get 400 to 500 people to raise $400 to $500 each, well, we've raised a couple $100,000 pretty fast. And as we're going to be doing that 16, 17, 18 weeks a year, which will be a lot of money. And what we'll do is we're going to partner with different national local charities, whether it's 5, whether it's 10, whether it's 20, however, whoever will take us on. We want to build a cause-based marketing model where, we will get more exposure because we'll be using those marketing pods of these different charities to then become